you're a very successful language learner, but have you ever failed at learning any language, or even worse, fallen out of love with any language? Like, I don't like this anymore, or just I'm not interested anymore, let's drop it.
So first of all, the word failure is not a word that I would use, because as again, Lam Cato says, a language is something that's worth learning even poorly, or words to that effect. So I consider my goal in any language is to get to B2. If I get to a solid B2, I'm not going to forget that language. I may speak with mistakes, I may struggle, but I'm not going to forget it. So B2 is kind of, so if you're climbing up and you have to get to a ledge where you can then rest and stay, and even if you don't use the language for quite a while, it'll be there when you come back and you can sort of jump right in. So B2 is the goal. And there are any number of languages where I have not reached B2. Like if you were to start speaking to me in Romanian or Greek or even Czech, where according to Link, I have a vocabulary of 60,000 words, but I never got to a point where I was using it a lot so that it's sort of firmly anchored. Czech, I think would take me a couple of days and I'd be doing fine. Romanian would take me longer, although vocabulary very similar to Italian. So there's, and of course, Korean. So the factors that make me not reach B2, okay, and I'll stop and I'll say, even when I don't reach B2, discovering the language, discovering the country behind the language, the culture, the history, and all of the things that I discovered along the way while learning that language are tremendously valuable. So it's never a failure. Okay. But I didn't reach the level where the language is, where I'm on that ledge on the mountainside. Okay. Didn't reach B2. Why? Case of Korean, when I was doing Korean 10 or 15 years ago, it was so hard to find interesting content. So hard. And Korean has so many little words that all have 8 meanings. It was just too difficult, actually. So the attraction, in other words, interesting content, hard to find. The difficulties were too many because you look words up in a dictionary and you still don't know what it means. I think now, if I went back to Korean, if that were a priority of mine, I would do a lot better because you can grab stuff off YouTube, off Netflix, anywhere you want. I can bring it into Link, start reading and looking up words. The dictionaries are much better. We now have, for example, at Link, we have AI dictionary lookup so that the meaning is relevant to the sentence. So if you have 8 potential meanings for this little word, monosyllable, in fact, it'll give you the one that's relevant to the sentence. And as long as you're able to get through the sentence, if I have a meaning, I refer to this, the parable, Zhuangzi's parable of the fish net. The fisherman, once he's caught the fish, he throws away the fish net. And where's that effect? Then he says something like, once we have the words, we don't need the words anymore. That's the way it is. You need the meaning of the word in order to get through that context. But once you have the word, I don't worry about, am I going to remember that word? It's in there somewhere. It'll come back again and then I'll forget it and stuff. So as long as you can get through what you're trying to read, it's the content that holds you. And if that content is meaningful and interesting, and you're going through these words and they're kind of rushing past you and you look them up and you get a meaning and you throw it back into your memory reserve. So all of those things, in the case of Korean, it was too early for me. So the kinds of things that will make me stop are the difficulty level, also the case with Arabic because of Lebanese, Levantine Arabic, Egyptian Arabic, Fusha. It's an inherently difficult language because the writing system is unfamiliar to me. Anyway, it's difficult, and yet it's hard to find content at my level. So wherever the difficulty is great and the attraction in the form of interesting, compelling content is hard to find, that's where my enthusiasm tends to peter out. So, right now, the other thing that prevents me from getting to B2 is I'm distracted. So I'm working on Persian. Now, I should do more Arabic. So I do Arabic for a while. And I'm going to Turkey. Well, I better focus on Turkish for a while. So you focus on Turkish. So those are the things. But would I consider that my efforts in Arabic, my efforts in Turkish, which is extremely incomplete, or in Persian, which is a little further ahead, that any of those are failures? No, they're not failures. But I haven't yet reached B2 in any one.